Can you hear me?
I did hear you, Bernice, if that was you talking. Or Diane. Yes, I did hear you, Diane.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I was just going to say I spent a 2.5 Zoom meeting last night with my Daughters of America Revolution organization about the celebration for this year, the
Oh, nice.
250,
Very
our
nice.
plans for the year.
All right. Let me, sorry for the delay here. Now, can you see the screen okay, everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so the recording is in progress and we are going to go ahead and get started. Today, there's going to be a lot of information thrown at you, but it's not anything that you can't recap, and we will recap as you need it. If you need me to repeat something, please let me know. But again, you'll also have the recording that you can go back and watch as well. I cannot believe that we are 11 weeks into this. Like, this is session number 11. I have thoroughly enjoyed the journey. I don't know about you all, but I have enjoyed it, and it's helped me to even learn more about the programs that we serve in our mission. And it's been for me, it was another learning tool. And even though I created the program or this series, it came from experience and uh, being mentored by other people in this organization. And so for that, I am extremely proud of those relationships that I have been able to form and build at even all the way to the national level. So we're going to celebrate the journey. And it's all about awards and recognition. And I don't want you to think at any point that this is vain or any vanity is happening, because it is not. And there's a rhyme or reason and there's a purpose behind why we recognize efforts that are being done. So I'm going to um, do a recap, but first let me just say that on recognition. Recognition is not extra, it's essential. And when people say to me, you're just being so extra, no, it's not. It fuels your morale, it can build confidence, and it keeps people connected to that mission that we serve. And I want you to think of this, right? So this session is it's really just going to be a complete reminder that celebrating wins is not bragging, but it's stewardship. So let's just keep that thought in our pocket here. So under the Be the One, I want to thank you for your presence that you had, and your willingness during the Be the One session. I know that it was a lot, and it was a lot to think about. Um, it, it wasn't one of the sessions that we talked about programming policies and procedures, but it was more about the people and the people that are out there that we can be that voice for, but also to listen. And, some of the key takeaway reminders from that session, I want you to remember it's being the one is not fixing, it's being present. And then a simple check in, a conversation, or a moment of listening can save a life. Many around us quietly carry grief, loss, stress, loneliness, and unseen battles. And we just need to be aware of that and maybe make that connection. Hey, I've noticed that you haven't been at a meeting in 6 months when you were always there. Just wanted to check in on you. How are you? Let them be seen, be heard, felt present. And remember that leadership includes compassion, courage, and awareness. And in that session, we also acknowledge that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Real life leadership often lives in spaces, those quiet, deep, dark spaces that we are able to ask that question and intervene. And what matters is choosing not to look away, but to look and to help. So thank you for being a patient when we went through that, and I'm sure that it stirred something in you or reminded you of someone who may need support. Please trust those instincts and remember that you can make that difference. So our goals for today's session, we're going to ending up writing compelling narratives and creating local award systems, what you can do in your own units to help those narratives to become even more compelling. And we're going to talk about recognition that motivates. It's supposed to be motivates and retains. There's another one of my typos. Rebecca, it's all good. So one of the very first things is when we're talking about recognition is, why does it even matter? Why does recognition matter to you? And here is our reflective moment. Why does recognition matter to you, or why should it matter to you?
Self-worth.
Yes, Chantel. Oh, go ahead, Diane.
I just said self-worth.
Self-worth, Chantel?
Right.
It inspires others. If they see someone getting recognized, it inspires others to want to do the same to get recognition, as well as it makes people feel valued. And if a member feels valued, they're more likely to give more and do more.
Exactly. People don't burn out because they're doing too much. They burn out because they feel unseen or even like visible. Recognition tells someone that you matter, your work counts, and this organization is better because you're in it. When was the last time someone told you that? Ouch. When people feel valued, they stay. When they feel invisible, they drift away. And recognition is one of the most powerful retention tools that we have, and it costs nothing but attention. That's it. And I like my little tip down here, my tip idea. Recognition isn't about ego, it's about belonging. So we're going to talk about some common myths to bust. Many leaders think that recognition has to wait until the end of the year or be tied to a formal award. Others assume people already know that they're appreciated. The truth is, unspoken appreciation often goes unheard. We'll recognize them later. They know they're appreciated. Awards are for big accomplishments. I don't know how to write a narrative. But the truth is, recognition delayed is recognition diluted. And small wins can build big loyalty. And stories matter more than statistics. Now, the statistics are great, and the statistics make up the story. So don't think that I'm saying that the statistics don't matter, because they do. If you've got all of those numbers, they form a story, but you want to tell the story in a way that people want to listen. If you give a bullet point listings of things, they don't understand what $15 to food bank was. If it just says $15 to food bank, you want to have that impact of you were able to feed 2 families with $15. It makes it sounds a little different than you just donated $15 to a food bank. So we're going to get deep into this, but stories matter more than your statistics. Recognition doesn't have to be big or like public for it to be meaningful. It just has to be sincere and timely, like within the week or two of what that person has done. But you can name the small moments when you're honoring them and when you're doing it on a consistent basis. And it's not that you're recognizing that if that person is doing that over and over and over again, keep recognizing them, because it's going to build long-term loyalty for everyone in your unit. So a strong narrative does three things. It shows impact, it honors effort, and it preserves legacy. And you're gonna hear this repeated on many slides as we go through this hour, half hour, wherever we are. You got to tell the story. You have to say who was served, why it mattered, how lives were touched, and what changed because of your work. What was the impact? What you did, what did it change in your community, or for a veteran, or for any of our active duty military, or for their families? What changed? This is where, right here, this is where strong leadership really shows up. Numbers matter, but stories bring them to life. A narrative turns what we did into why it mattered. And again, I'm going to continue to say it over and over again. Who was served, why it mattered, how lives were touched, and what changed because of your work. What was that impact? And, you know, I am very proud to say that Unit 23 was an example of telling those stories. And, you know, we took a list of things that we did and turned it into a compelling narrative. Not only did we have those compelling narratives, but we preserved the story of our service, not just in statistics. So, and that's how our legacy was built. So we preserved what we've done, and now it's part of our history. It's not just a bullet point list or numbers on an impact statement. It truly tells the story, and it preserves the history of what we did. The simple narrative framework, you don't really need fancy words. You just need clarity, okay? And they don't require being a professional writer either. It requires being observant and intentional on what you're putting into that narrative. You want to focus on who did the work, what they did, why it mattered, and who benefited from them. What was the impact? There's another word, same thing. Who did the work, what they did, why it mattered, the impact, the numbers plus the heart behind it, and what is the legacy or the lasting effect? What are you leaving behind? And I put another little tip down here for you. Write like you're explaining it to someone who wasn't there. So just a smidget of a story time here. Tell me something that happened in the last 24 hours in your life. Somebody go for it. Somebody has a story to tell.
I have been blessed to work with an AMVETS that's beginning their journey in Woodstock. It's a past commander of our post and our rider chapter. And I was able to work with them to create a contact for them to get free bread and hook up with a food diverse program through Wawa. So now they are able to work with other nonprofits in their area to provide free food to the homeless and our veterans of that area. It was a very easy initiative that brought together multiple veteran organizations and community leaders. And it's going to lead to a huge impact across a very large area in the Woodstock community.
Okay, so who did the work?
Our team did the work.
What did you do?
We shared contact information and put people in contact with the right entities.
Why did it matter?
It impacts their community, provides food to those that are hungry.
And what are the numbers and the impact of that?
The impact is they will be receiving approximately 100 plus loaves of bread a week on a daily basis, anywhere from 30 to 75 breakfast sandwiches and other items through the bakery at the Wawa. It's allowing them to open another food bank and essentially provide food to approximately anywhere from 100 to 200 people.
And what is the lasting effect?
We have less people going hungry in our communities.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Chantel, for being that volunteer. Did you see where she told us a story and then we went back and broke it down? We told the story first. Then you go back and break it down. I know that that might not work for everyone, but I can tell you, tell the story. Tell the story for each and every situation, and then you go back and break it down. It will work every time. And if it doesn't, call me because I'll make sure that I help you dissect it and figure it out. So those of you that were listening to the story, could you see it? Could you feel it? And could you understand an impact that it was happening? She wrote a strong narrative right then and there in that story. And because there was a feeling there, I could see them going and picking up bread. That's really cool. And that's a beautiful example. Thank you again, Chantel. So if it mattered enough to do it, it matters enough to write it in your history. We have lots of units, and not just in our department, but I'm sure that this happens in lots of others that are not doing the written history. They're not writing that written history. You did all the work. And if it mattered to do it, why wouldn't you put it in your history? And I heard someone say one time, well, been there, done that. It is what it is. And well, what did you do? Where's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want the future leaders to see what you've done? Set that example, put it in your histories. And I will remind you when you're doing your histories that histories are nothing more than the words and the paper. You don't put photos and anything else, nothing else. It's your written history and words on the paper. And tell the story. Tell your history. Tell what you did. Award narratives do more than submit paperwork. They make your service visible. They preserve a legacy. They build morale, and they help members feel seen and valued. If it mattered enough to do it, it matters to write it in your history. So you're saying, what? What am I putting in there? Well, we're going to spend a little bit of time on just this one slide. And this is a simple 5-step formula, narrative formula, but for me, it is, let me see here. It's like 3 pages of notes for you. So coming up with the narrative, it requires you to have, excuse me, it requires you to have some sort of guidelines of what you're looking for. You take the story and then you're going to dissect it. So the first one is who. Who is being recognized? And this can be either the person or it can be your the program that you're working on or the event. So name it. There's a role or a position, who's done that. And then the length of service if it's relevant. So for an example, not Janie, but Jane Doe, a dedicated member of Unit 23 did this. So you start with, name that person, a dedicated member. Maybe you had somebody that's been in your department for 50 years. You say, Jane Doe, a 50-year veteran member or 50-year member of your unit. What did they do? There's the next one. You got to be specific. You got to name the actions, not just the title. And an example of that is, let's go back to Jane Doe, a dedicated member of Unit 23, led monthly outreach events and coordinated volunteers. What did she do? She led a monthly outreach and she coordinated our volunteers. That's a lot to coordinate volunteers in itself. So why did it matter? Why is this important? What need did it meet? Who benefited? So now let's put that together, the who, what, and why. Jane Doe, a dedicated member of Unit 23, led monthly outreach events and coordinated volunteers, ensuring veterans and families felt supported and connected. So then, what's the impact? You've got to show results using numbers and heart. We've already said that in the last slide. Who the people served, the events held, the funds raised, and the lives touched. So now let's go put the who, what, why, and impact together. Jane Doe, a dedicated member of Unit 23, led monthly outreach events and coordinated volunteers, ensuring veterans and families felt supported and connected. This effort supported over 150 veterans and raised $5,000 for local programs. So, what sets this service apart? Consistency, leadership, compassion. You're hearing all of that in just those simple words and those simple 3 sentences. The initiative. So putting it all together. Going back, sound like a broken record, but it makes sense. Jane Doe, a dedicated member of Unit 23, led monthly outreach events and coordinated volunteers, ensuring veterans and families felt supported and connected. This effort supported over 150 veterans and raised $5,000 for local programs. Her dedication reflects the mission and values of the American Legion Auxiliary. Now, if we were to break that down and not add any of that in a number, you would have put 150 veterans and $5,000 for local programs. You take all the other actionable things away, and all you have are your numbers. What sounds more inviting to you to listen to what the American Legion Auxiliary is doing? The who, what, why, impact, and why, or the numbers? Sounds a little bit more story-led and something that you could have a conversation with over coffee. So you want to end with strength and make sure that that closing does say something that, so your openings you can use throughout the past year with quiet dedication, maybe even demonstrating exceptional commitment. Jane Doe does this through consistent service and leadership. So those are all powerful openings. And then you fill in the blanks with the numbers. You could also when you want to put those numbers in, just make sure that it flows all the way to a closing, and you can end with things like we did. Her dedication reflects the mission. You could end with, this service exemplifies for these reasons. Her efforts have left a lasting impact. So in the 5-step simple narrative formula that I have here, there are 4 things to avoid. One of them is listing activities only. If you just do bullet points down, that's not a narrative. A narrative flows like a story. Being vague, you didn't tell the whole story. And underselling the impact and waiting until the deadline. your narratives or your list of items that you're going to put in for your narrative should already be well underway. Our department impacts are due April 15th, and that includes the narrative. Not everybody submits a narrative, but if you want to be considered for one of the awards that the department gives, then you have to have a narrative with it. And same thing, if you submit your narratives for awards for national, you have to have a narrative, or if you want to be in contention for any of those. But remember that plain language is powerful. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be specific, but obviously you want to check for glaring errors and make sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. And, you know, like I had a mistake in the beginning, proofread, and, you know, but it's okay. Tell your story. Tell your story the way you know how to tell your story, and you know how to tell your story best. And, you know, the stories matter more than just filling in adjectives. And I know that you've heard me say that if you don't tell your story, someone else will tell your story from their perspective. Tell your story. Be sincere. And here's my little tip here. Recognition is leadership in action. When you write the story, you honor the work and the people behind it. Write your stories. So now we're going to do a kind of sort of along what Chantel did, but I want to talk about a person this time. So I want you to take just a couple seconds here and let it pop into your head of one person in your unit of a moment this year that stands out. Maybe it was quiet service, consistent effort. Maybe it was stepping up when it mattered, when it had to be done. But I want you to think about that. And then I want you to just tell me the story of what they did, who benefited, and why it mattered. Anybody?
Well, off the top of my head, I could say that Linda Midkiff consistently delivered food to food banks and filled blessing boxes throughout the year. She does it on a schedule, not just when asked. And this helps provide food for those agencies who are giving the food out. You know, we're not giving it directly to the consumer, but we are actually doing our part to help with what do they call it, food anxiety or food insufficiency, whatever that is.
Yeah.
In the community.
Okay. So tell me a story.
Oh, I thought I just did.
No, you did. You did. Tell me a story. Why does that matter?
Because we have a lot of homeless people in this area, and they make consistent use of our food banks, and it helps do our part, and it also gives us a presence in the community with those people who are distributing food, and that makes us a part of what their mission is.
And it falls right into our mission, falls right into our service. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And if you can tell the story over coffee, you can write a narrative. And I'm drinking coffee. Do you see where we're going with this? Is anybody, is this resonating with a way that you can write a compelling narrative? Okay, y'all, you're scaring me. Are we ready to write narratives? Are we scared to write narratives?
I am, and have been since last fall, been keeping just a month by month list of activities that I take part in and banking that stuff for my chaplain's narrative
Awesome.
at the end of the year. It's just a list of what's being done with the specifics that have to be there, but then at the time of writing the narrative, then it will become a story.
Exactly.
You
And
need to have that information down there.
correct. And if you don't put it down quickly after doing it, it can get lost.
Oh,
And
you'll forget.
and then after you write your narrative, oh, I totally forgot about this. And that is long gone. I thought I had it sitting here, but I do not. I have my note. No, it's in my bag in the other room. I have a notebook, just a, regular old, just a small little notebook that I have each program listed out, and then I list things as they go to those programs, so that when I go back and write the narrative for that, then I have it all listed, and then I combine all of our members' information that's given to me into those narratives. Chantel?
Megan Beal, our second vice at Unit 14, actually created a document for us to use. And it has a date, who all was there, whether we wore our name badges or a poppy or emblem. And then it has a whole section to describe the activity, a place of what we donated, if we did, what calls, the whole 9 yards. And we actually turn that in. We're supposed to fill that out and turn it into the chairperson. So that way, if the chairperson wasn't there, there's a record for them to be able to come back to ask the people who were involved, and they have something to follow. And we put those in a notebook so that way we have them to look back on when it's time to write our narratives. So that way we don't miss things. And it makes it the members' responsibilities, because a lot of our members do things outside of our units as well as with our units. And this keeps everybody accountable for things. And it also helps those that are the chair people who have to write these narratives, so that they're not lacking the information and having to scramble at the last minute to put it all together.
Yes, that's excellent. Unit 23 created a unit service records coordinator, and she has that similar and the categories of who's doing what. So, there, and I'm sure that she would be glad to share that information, and I'm sure, Chantel, that yours would as well. Anything that can help us to manage the enormous amount of information that comes through our units, and set, I mean, in 1 month, I mean, you could have several pages of stuff that's going on. And it, like you said, our members are doing other things outside of just unit activities. So they're doing other helps and our veterans hours and the service hours, what you're doing. So definitely you have to have a way to keep track of it that will make your narratives a lot easier. All right. Any questions on these narratives so far?
Rebecca,
Yes, ma'am.
when I joined Williamstown, I gave them a sheet to keep monthly activities. And then over the holidays, I went back over their website from last April and wrote down everything that was on their website. And then I've asked for the minutes and everything. So we will be caught up to date what they actually have done.
Awesome. That's awesome. And yes, that takes quite a bit of research to do. But definitely I'm glad that you're doing that and keeping track of all of it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm being stupid.
No, you're not. No.
I have the distinct feeling that our unit is not doing this and has not done it. I think I need more information about what we should be doing, because I'm sure the president of the group this year is one that wants to participate more outside of the unit. And I think she'd probably be interested in where do I need to go to get this information?
For the impact statement, so if you want to, I can email you one, and I can also show you afterwards where we can get that off of our website. And
Okay,
once we're done, if you just hang tight with me for a few,
sure,
I'll
sure.
show you that. And I'm really glad that's not a stupid question. And now you're here saying, what are all these things we're keeping track of? It's all part of the impact statement. That is what you're doing in your unit, and then, what's happening district level and then department level all the way to national. So
Okay.
I will definitely, yes, I will show you exactly where that information is compiled, and that will help you also to go back and start listing the things that you need to write your narratives.
Okay. Thank
Well,
you.
and that was us how many years ago, Rebecca?
Yes, exactly.
We had no idea what we were supposed to do, the narratives. We were just there and putting in the reports, and that was it, you know. So once you know what you're supposed to do, then it's a matter of buckling in and doing it. But that was us too, Bernice. So don't feel bad.
That's right. And Bernice, I went to a district conference, and then I went, oh, there's a department conference. And so I went there, and then I found out, oh, there's a national conference, and I ended up at the national conference, and I was the Lone Ranger by myself. And then the following year, I was voted in as president of our unit. And then I was like, I got to know everything. And I started asking questions, and all those people that I had built relationships with at those levels, they started throwing information at me. And last year, April 15th, we turned in a narrative for every single program. We did the impact statement and turned in a narrative for every single program that we did. Yes. Did I write all of them but one? Yes. Um, was it many hours doing it? Yes, it was. But now that I have something for my chairman, my few handful of chairmen that I have to go by there, that I can get some assistance this year. I couldn't ask anybody to do it last year because I didn't even know what I was doing until like well into like narrative number 14, I think it was. I even wrote a membership narrative and I didn't even have to. But I thought I did based upon the way our programming was written, our program guide, our awards manual guide. I thought I did. That's been fixed, so nobody else has to write one. But it was really great. And I still sent it to our membership chairman just to say, just because I did it, you get to read it. But once you get on a roll and start plugging things in, it was easier to just free write. And then I went back and cleaned it up. And that's how I did it. It was just telling all the story. And then I regrouped it, checked it, redid it, and made it happen. So it can be done. And Bernice, I'm here to support and help you. Yes, Chantel.
Ms. Bernice, also something to keep in mind, something that I'm sure Rebecca has learned also, is utilize the strengths of your writers in your group, because there's going to be somebody who loves to write. And what we found in our unit is we have our chair people write, and then we have one who has a doctorate and that's her thing. And we send it to her, and she catches all of our errors and spelling and grammar such, and she really critiques it. And because of that, we were blessed to win a lot of awards last year as well on the department level, for the second year in a row, actually. So it does take a team, and new presidents, please tell her to reach out to everyone, because there are a lot of people willing to help. And then a lot of this stuff is hard to find because there's so much out there.
Mhm.
But there's lots of people who are willing to help.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, we're all in this together. And even though we have awards and we get recognition, but we're all still winning at the same mission. And we all should want it together, and we should all lift each other up. All right. So recognition now, let's talk about recognition to members. It keeps them engaged all year. Not every act of service needs a national award submission to be meaningful. Local recognition matters just as much. You can do things like monthly shout outs, handwritten notes, social media highlights. You can do just small acknowledgments go a long way. I know that when I have, there are little things that I will do. An example, I had several go off to conferences, or they went to district meeting, wherever. I would always give them a little gift. And they said once, she's bribing us, so we'll keep coming back. But they joked about it, right, Jane?
Yeah.
But I see them wearing those tokens. Like I had earrings made, acrylic earrings that had like red, white, and blue. It was red and blue stars in them. And I see them pridefully wearing them. And, it's just a reminder to me, a thank you for your service to our organization and showing up. So and it doesn't have to be a lot, but thank you notes. Yes, end of year stuff is great when you have an awards ceremony and recognize them in front of all of the community people that you've brought in. But I've listed just a list here, unit level awards, give them a certificate, just sign from you. Quiet hero recognition, monthly spotlight, handwritten notes, public thank yous, social media shout outs, event-based recognition. Thank them for working that event. And at that meeting, the next meeting, thank you X, Y, and Z for showing up and putting your input. We appreciate you volunteering. And then you're always going to have some of those people, well, I would have volunteered, but I had to do XYZ. It's okay. We're still going to celebrate the people that showed up, and we don't want to put like a black cloud over it. We're celebrating the people that showed up. And some people cannot show up all the time, and that's okay. People give of the time that they can give. And just remember that people always make time for what is important to them, what they choose to do. So if somebody has taken the time to spend 6 hours with you at a fundraising event, then sure enough, please give them that recognition. Thank them for spending that many hours serving this organization and serving our communities. I know I get so excited about it, but recognition isn't about the size of the award. It's about the sincerity of the appreciation. So be sincere in it. And I mean, you can say thank you, but you can say thank you with heart. All right. So creating a culture of celebration. And, we have the culture of, the soccer team, season is over and everybody gets a trophy. Everybody wins. Okay. If we can create a culture of celebration, though, and celebrating the milestones, or, you have somebody that has been in the organization for 30 years, celebrate it. Somebody 5 years, celebrate it. And not everybody in the room is always going to be celebrated. However, you can create a culture of celebration that says to your members, I see you. I know what you did. I'm thankful for you. I appreciate you. So, and that culture of celebration is built through repetition. You have to do it on a consistent basis. And when recognition is part of your regular rhythm, it becomes expected, but also appreciated. So just like those people that see others being recognized, they want to do the same. It's because now they did it and they do expect it. However, it's appreciated. So bring it into your meetings, put it in your reports, your newsletters, and in your conversations. When you're having those conversations, tell the story of what these members have done. When leaders model recognition, others will follow. Then celebration becomes a part of how the unit operates, not something saved for special occasions. And I've put a few on here. You can build the recognition into the meetings. You can celebrate those milestones wherever you are. And Jane does a really good job in our unit as chaplain and celebrating milestones, birthdays, celebrating births of children. And obviously, she also does a wonderful job at the bereavements and helping those that have lost loved ones and actually even performing ceremonies. But you want to acknowledge their efforts, not just their outcomes. Like acknowledge the fact that they put 6 hours in to make, 50 bags, not just the outcome of what they did, but their effort. And you want to share wins regularly, but teach others to recognize it too. Yeah. And culture isn't what you say once a year, it's what you repeat. And that's how you build a culture of celebration within your units. All right, moving right along. Would you agree that people stay where they feel valued? Yes, I see heads bobbing. Well, recognition builds loyalty and pride. It reminds members that their time and talents matter. People don't leave organizations, they leave silence. They leave environments where they feel unnoticed. And I'm sure that every single one of us have people in our units that have left because they felt unnoticed. And that's sad. And what are we doing to help them feel noticed? So we need to build loyalty by recognition. We need to encourage leadership development. We want to build the future leaders. And next week, that's all we're talking about is how we're going to build them and the legacy that we're leaving. And recognition also prevents burnout and it creates pride in belonging. And that's powerful, and it is a tip. People don't leave organizations, they leave silence. When they do not feel noticed, they will just slip away. And are you going to notice that they're gone? If you're not practicing a culture of recognition and I see you and a celebration, celebrating them. Leadership, however, does include joy. And I hope that you would feel joy when you are leading, and not everything feels like joy, but in the long run, when you have been consistent and done, you can feel that joy. It's not only about outcomes, it's about your experiences. Every meeting held, event planned, and life touched is part of your larger story. Celebrate that journey and be just joyful in it. And, joy is not a distraction from leadership. It's a sign of healthy leadership. You're not just running meetings, you're shaping experiences. You're building a legacy. You're lifting people. Celebrate your members. Celebrate your wins. And celebrate the journey because it does matter. So I want you to think about somebody it can be right now or for your next meeting, but before your next meeting, figure it out. I want you to write one recognition, share one story, thank one person publicly. And recognition doesn't cost money, it costs attention. And great leaders always notice. I want you to be the leader who lifts others, and don't forget to celebrate yourself along the way. And how would you do that? How are you going to celebrate yourself? I'm going to drink more coffee. Yeah.
Acknowledge their successes.
Acknowledge your successes. That's a great, that is definitely a great way to do that.
She said you had to go up to home.
Do we have any questions so far? Like, and anything that we can answer before we stop the recording? And then I will show you, Bernice, on the website where you can get that impact form. So next week, January 13th, 2026 at 11 a.m. will be our final session in this series. It's next level leadership, succession and mentorship. And it's, really what we're leaving behind. And I can't believe this is coming to an end. But a very special an added bonus here. All of you will get the invitation to it. But for the following week, so in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from now, I am going to do a Canva workshop. And so I'm going to show you how to make some fun, flashy flyers and just some graphics that you'll be able to use and give you some tips and tricks of Canva. And then that will be it for now until we come up with something else. But I want to encourage you. We have a challenge going for the Department of West Virginia. Go on your national website and go to the ALA Academy and take a few of those classes, as many of them that you can, up to midwinter. And let me know that you'll have to send that to the leadership at wvaux.org. And you will be in, someone is going to win a very nice gift basket full of goodies at Midwinter Convention. And you don't have to be at Midwinter to be the one who has had the most. And then if there is a tie, obviously we'll have a drawing, or I don't know, we might even do 2 baskets. I don't know. We'll make it fun. But anyway, don't forget to go on and take those courses, because you can learn so many things. That's how I learn things. And print out your certificates. They're fun. Put them in your book. Like, put them in your legacy book. And also make sure you're reporting them to your unit's presidents for the leadership, so that you can say that you've taken X amount of courses and which ones you've taken.
Repeat, who do you report to?
For the challenge.
Yeah, I've taken some courses.
Okay,
So
you're gonna tell me which ones you have taken, or and you're gonna send that to me directly, because I'm your leadership chair. It'll be
under
leader
leadership.
at wvaux.org.
Okay.
Yes. All right, let me stop recording. Thank you all for joining us. And then let's go here, stop recording.